Good morning, unicorns. Day 19, the future can be better than the past. Always. The future can always be better than the past. And one of the things that I've learned from Abraham is that all the desires that we put out there, Abraham says that they go into the vortex, and what we ask is answered instantaneously. And then they say something that used to confuse me earlier on, and that was that future generations will benefit from our asking. So I finally understood what Abraham meant when they said future generations will benefit. Because I was like, okay, I'm doing the asking and future generations will benefit. I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I like that. And the answer really is that mankind as a whole, our belief systems have to change in order to allow some things to happen that affect all of us, larger humanity, the masses. So as long as people thought that flying wasn't possible, nobody could fly, right? But then we changed our belief about flight, and now taking an airplane to go somewhere is easy peasy, right? So, but the people who asked for it were not the ones who were able to manifest it. The only reason that they were not able to manifest it is that their belief systems were not there. So they had the desire for those things without having a belief system that would allow those things to happen. So when scientific discovery took place slowly over a number of years, people's attitude started changing. And certainly our attitude now is wonderful things are possible because technology makes so many things possible. So our belief in what is technologically possible has shifted, and not only has it shifted, but it continues to shift. And that is good news, because as it continues to shift, the things that we are asking for will come into being. So last night in the book study, Abraham, one of the questions was, okay, so can people grow back their limbs if somebody loses an arm or a leg or something? Can they grow them back? And the answer there was, yes, if their belief is there, then it can be done. But if their belief has not caught up, then it cannot happen right now, but will happen in the future. Future benefits, future generations will benefit because people are asking. And when people are asking, the solution is coming. So at some point in time, someone will be born who will allow that solution to manifest, to take actual form. And that may not be happening today because we are just not ready for it today. When we are ready, it will happen. So that is how future generations benefit from our asking, because we've asked, it's in vibrational form, but now we have to get into a place of allowing, and we get into that place of allowing by shifting our belief system one little step at a time. And so what this boils down to really is that every individual, we as individuals, have an emotional scale. And the interesting thing is that we have an emotional scale about every subject in our life. The house I live in, I have an emotional scale, an emotional response to it. My emotional response to where I live might be over here. I might love where I live, but my emotional response to where I work might be over here. So for various subjects in our life, we are all over the place on the emotional scale. And then collectively, as communities, as nations, as the whole world, because like energy and like thoughts converge together on the emotional scale, so the world has an emotional scale. about subjects that we think about as the world, common things that people think about. And then as a community, as a nation, we also have an emotional scale. In mass, all masses together, we have an emotional scale that represents how we think about subjects. So, individual emotional scale, community emotional scale, national emotional scale, and worldwide emotional scale. So there are some things that as a nation we are allowing, because on those things we are over here as a nation or as a community. But as a community, there are some things that we are not allowing. We are over here. We feel bad about them when we think about them. Right? And so even though we want these things, but we think over here. A lot of countries in the world abhor corruption. They don't like this whole system of giving bribes and taking bribes. So when someone has to give a bribe and another person has to take a bribe, it doesn't put them over here, it puts them over here. They do it despite the fact that they don't like it. And that means going against what your inner being is asking you to do, right? So they attract more of the same, more reasons to accept bribes. And the same thing applies to discrimination when it comes to creed or color or ethnicity, because there are some things we don't want to do as a nation. We don't want to do them. It makes us feel bad to do them. And we collectively come over here as a nation. But what we really want is to be here. We're all asking to be here, but we end up here as a nation. And that's because there's en masse, meaning a lot of us are doing the same thing about that subject, and that puts us as a nation at the wrong end of the stick. But the good news is, Abraham says this, and I completely believe them because they are Abraham, and I trust and believe Abraham, and also because I see evidence of it in our history. And Abraham says that one person who is aligned is more powerful than millions who are not. That was the power of influence that prophets in the past exerted on communities and then on the whole world, right? It's leaders who get known for leading nations to prosperity and abundance. They have that kind of power of influence. But the important thing is anyone can exert that type of power of influence. Anyone can. And it's all about bringing yourself up over here. Bringing yourself up here on the emotional scale. If many of us congregate here, then we can contribute to a shift in humanity. When Abraham says this is the age of enlightenment, when Abraham says this is the great awakening, that's what they mean, is that there are more and more people understanding how law of attraction works and willing to do the work, not only willing to do the work, but having the discipline to do the work. Being willing is different from having the discipline to actually do it, right? So having the discipline to do the work will put us over here. And when we put ourselves over here, good things will happen. So in mass, when the population of the world affixes its attention on something like COVID-19, then the whole world goes down the emotional scale. Because as a population, as the population of the world, we have a joint emotional scale. And we all go here. And when we go here, guess what happens? Other things that we don't want to see happen. Right? like the rioting that is going on, that happens, right? And so all we have to do, me, you, all of you, all we have to do, because we have power of influence, all we have to do is to go up the emotional scale right over here and stay there, no matter what. No matter what the newspapers say, no matter what my neighbor tells me, no matter what that person at work says to me, no matter what my son comes and tells me, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to send love. And I'm going to send love to all those people that I know are reaching for a better place. Because their asking is huge. The momentum of their asking is huge. And I can be an allower, and I can allow for all of them. See, understand how scientific discovery takes place. Scientific discovery takes place because so many people have asked. For example, robotic limbs, right? Prosthetic limbs, robotic ones. How many people have asked? But all of them didn't receive the idea how to manufacture them. All of them didn't get those ideas from source. Source created it. It was in vibrational form, but it took a handful, maybe 2 handsful of people who received ideas, who allowed ideas from source to come and implemented those ideas in their work so that robotic prosthetics were born, right? So it wasn't the people who were doing the asking who received the solution. And that is always the case. Because for these things that are bigger than just one person, these things that are en masse, only a few people, if only a few people become allowers, the solution flows in. Everyone does not have to be part of the solution. Source will find the best person through whom the answer can come. And the answer will be given to that person. Not because that person is special, but because that person wasn't participating in the resistance. That person was not taking on the resistance. And so that one person or 2 people or a handful of people allowed the solution. And when they got it, they spread it around. Right? So this is how scientific discovery takes place. This is how advancement in all human thought takes place. This is how people have changed the world. The asking of many and the allowing of a few. So I know a lot of you came on and said hello, and I was in momentum and I didn't stop to say hello, but hello, Elena, Jennifer, Nicole, Mary Ellen. It's good to see you all here, Natalie, right? So just think about it. There is so much asking going on at this time, so much asking all over the world. Which side of the equation do you want to be part of? The allowing or the asking? We've already asked. Now it's time to allow. All right, folks, that's all I have for you this morning. Love you all lots. Have a super fantastic fun day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.